Hello, my friends. Welcome to the Game Zone with me, Francis Abuchisa Lampard. It is the show that brings you nothing but absolute and analytical perspective of games that you expect in the coming weekend. And before we crack on, this show is by the kind courtesy of I Belong to Jesus House of Car Parts, where you can get your quality engine, your tail light, your shock absorbers, and also Attract Studio, proud to be associated with this particular sports show. That's the Game Zone with me, Francis. Now let's crack on. Match week 19 of the 2017-2018 English Premier League will be on this weekend, and of course we have seen Friday night football between Arsenal and Liverpool at the Emirates Stadium. After full 90 minutes of action, it ended 3. And now let's move on to Saturday games, and it will be Chelsea versus Everton at the Goodison Park. And in fact, going into this particular affair, Chelsea, they have done so well this season. They are the defending champions. They are third on the league log, and I think Antonio Conte and the Big Sam Allardyce, they have something in common. The Big Sam Allardyce, since he took over as manager of Everton, he is yet to test a defeat in the Premier League. He's played 3 matches so far, and I think at the Goodison Park, within the 3-match period, the Big Sam Allardyce has made the Everton fortress for some of the clubs in the Premier League. And going into this particular time, Chelsea coming into this time off the back of a 1-0 victory last weekend over Southampton. And what else do you expect from Antonio Conte and his charges? In fact, I think this game is going to be, aside Arsenal versus Liverpool, this game is going to be a top liner. Merseyside's boys will always give you a test, will always give you a very serious threat. But if you are able to massage, if you are able to maneuver your way through them, you will pick the maximum 3 points. But I think, as far as score prediction for Chelsea or Everton versus Chelsea is concerned, it is Goodison Park, and you can't just go there and score many goals. Everton will pose a threat, but at the end of 90 minutes, I will go for a 2-1 victory for Antonio Conte's Chelsea. Let's crack on to the Premier League, or 3 p.m. kickoff. As far as the Premier League week 19 is concerned, Brighton will be up against Watford at the American Express Stadium. Brighton going into this particular tie off the back of a goalless drawn game against Burnley last weekend. In fact, it seems this season Brighton have done so well, and they initially I wasn't expecting such a dreadful performance from them, but they have shown that they are in for something this season, and they have done so well so far going into this tie against a struggling Watford, who have not yet found their ground, who have not yet found their feet. But I think, or as far as score prediction for this game is concerned, it is the American Express Stadium, and of course it is Brighton. So I will go for a 1-0 victory for Brighton over Watford. Let's move on to the Etihad Stadium. In fact, this particular game, I won't waste much time talking about this. In fact, Manchester City, they've done so well this season. Gabriel Jesus is there, Sergio Aguero is there, and in fact they've got the players, and the players are doing so well. It is not like one-man team. They have built the team around all the players, and if Gabriel Jesus is not there, Kun Aguero is there. If Kun Aguero is not there, Kevin De Bruyne is there. If Kevin De Bruyne is not there, Sterling is there. So I think Pep Guardiola is beginning to form a credible and a formidable team from the Etihad Stadium. They are very young, they are very exuberant, but I think going into this particular tie, it will be easy for AFC Bournemouth. In fact, Manchester City going into this tie off the back of a victory over Spurs. It was 4-1 last weekend, and what else? It is a morale boosting for Pep Guardiola and his Manchester City. So I think playing against AFC Bournemouth, it will be a walk in the park for Pep Guardiola and his Manchester City team. As far as final score prediction is concerned, I will go for a 4-1 victory for Pep Guardiola and his Manchester City. Let's crack on to the rest of the 3 p.m. kickoff. Southampton will be up against Huddersfield at St. Mary's, and in fact Huddersfield, they have shown that they are in for something. They have shown that Huddersfield Town, they've also won last weekend by 4-1. They have some Watford last weekend by 4-1, and what if it was one of the victory for Huddersfield Town, where you would think, these people, they have done so well and they deserve every bit of applause this season. And going into this particular time against Southampton, Huddersfield going outside, Huddersfield going away. I think as far as score prediction is concerned, I will go for a 2-1 victory for Huddersfield Town. Though I am not writing off Southampton, but they've been dreadful, or they've been ragged this season. Their performance hasn't been. Stoke City will be up against West Bromwich Albion, and in fact this season it is like two young brothers fighting against each other. West Brom, they haven't done so well. Stoke City, they haven't done so well. So these two clubs, they are like birds of a feather, and I think I won't waste much time talking about this because they have the same thing. They have one thing in common. As far as score position for this particular game is concerned, it will be 1-1 after 490 minutes of action, because both will pose threats to each other, but I think the threat won't be much to penetrate them. So it will be 1-1 after 490 minutes of action. Now let's move on to Swansea City versus Crystal Palace at the Liberty Stadium. Swansea City, they've been ragged so far. Their trajectory, their performance hasn't been the best, so I'm beginning to wonder what is happening to Swansea City. Swansea City, they were somewhere in the mid half of the table just after match week 10 of the Premier League, but it seems they are now bottom. They are now 20th on the log table, and as I'm talking to you right now, they have parted way with manager Paul Clement. So as I'm talking to you, they don't have manager, and they are going into this star with Crystal Palace, who are beginning to build a momentum, who are beginning to form a credible side, who are beginning to make themselves a fortress to the clubs in the Premier League. But as far as score position is concerned, though Swansea City, they are playing home, they are playing at the Liberty Stadium, I will go for a 2-1 victory for Crystal Palace. West Ham United will be up against Newcastle United at the London Stadium, and West Ham, under the watch of David Moyes, they have done so well so far, and also Newcastle United under the watch of Rafael Benitez. In fact, they are going into this Newcastle going into this star off the back of a 1-0 loss to Arsenal last weekend. I think Newcastle United, they have to do something. They have to do something. The owner, Mike Ashley, it seems he is not ready to pump money into the club. Get the players, get the best players, get the strikers, get Ham United. Or as far as score prediction is concerned, I will go for a 2-1 victory for West Ham United. Burnley versus Tottenham Hotspur at Turf Moor. You know, Turf Moor, it's a fortress ground for some of the clubs in the Premier League, and Burnley, under the watch of Sean Dyche, they have done so well. They have done extremely well this season. At the initial stage of this season, I wasn't expecting such a dreadful such a scintillating performance from Burnley, but they have proved that they are capable, they are bold, they are ready to face any club in the Premier League, and they are going into this tie against Tottenham Hotspur, and Tottenham Hotspur going into this particular tie off the back of a 4-0 loss to the league leaders Manchester City. What else will you expect? And Burnley, they have also won their previous match, so this one, it is going to be a very interesting game, and it is going to be cagey encounter. But as far as score prediction is concerned, Tefmore, it is always a fortress ground. I will go for a 2-1 victory for Burnley over Mauricio Pochettino's Tottenham Hotspur. Now let's move on to our final game of the weekend, or our final game will be Leicester City versus Manchester United at the King Power Stadium. Jose Mourinho's Manchester United going into this tie off the back of a 2-1 loss to Championship side Bristol City in the Carabao Cup. Jose Mourinho cannot afford to he can't just afford to suffer 2 games in a row. So I think Leicester City will pose a threat, and in fact the King Power Stadium, it is always a fortress ground for some of the clubs in the Premier League, and guess what? Leicester City, they have made it Leicester City, they are beginning to gather momentum, they are beginning to form a formidable side, and when you meet them, you can't just go there and pick the maximum 3 point. You have to work for it. And Jose Mourinho, if they want to pick the maximum 3 point, then they have to work for it. They have to get that thing out of their mind, that 2-1 loss to Bristol City off their mind, and focus on the game. Romelu Lukaku needs to do something this time around, because he was bought with huge sums of money, and at the initial stage of the season his performance was quite interesting, but now his performance is very awful. Romelu Lukaku for you. And Manchester United, they've got a very good goalkeeper in the shape of David De Gea. He is doing well so far for Manchester United. For goalkeeping, they don't have problem, but Jose Mourinho, this time around, you need to throw more men forward, go get the maximum 3 points, don't sit back and play defensive game against Leicester City, who will wait, catch you on the break and punish you. Jose, as score prediction is concerned, at the King Power Stadium, I will go for a 2-1 victory for Manchester United over Leicester City. Now let's move to the Spanish La Liga. It all started on Tuesday. We've had Levante versus Leganés. After full 90 minutes of action, it ended goalless. Getafe versus Las Palmas 2-0. It ended in favor of Getafe. Real Sociedad 3, Sevilla 1. Thursday football, Eibar versus Girona. 5 goals produced in that encounter. 5-1 4-1 it ended in favor of Girona versus Atletico Bilbao. After full 90 minutes of action, it ended 2-0 in favor of Atletico Bilbao. And guess what? Surprisingly, Espanyol beat Atletico Madrid by 1-0. Now let's look at Saturday features in the Spanish La Liga, and guess what? The big one. Real Madrid will be up against FC Barcelona, the El Clasico, first leg of the 2017-2018 Spanish La Liga. Real Madrid, they've not been in the best of the form, and their performance has been so poor this season. They are rugged, they are not doing the best, and in fact, I don't know, last season they've won almost every season. I don't know whether that thing has eaten into their fabrics and they don't want to go out there, get their ass down on the job and do the right thing. Zinedine Zidane needs to up his game. Cristiano Ronaldo is not living up to expectation this season, and guess what? Their opponents or their rivals, FC Barcelona, they are doing so well this season. They are leading the league log with a blotting number of points, and going into this particular tie with Real Madrid, they are also going into this tie off the back of a victory in the league. These two clubs, when they meet, what else do you expect? Fireworks. It is going to be firework. Real Madrid, they are not in the best of the form, but when they meet FC Barcelona, they always want to prove points, and tomorrow they are ready to play against FC Barcelona, and of course they are playing at their own favorite ground, the Santiago Bernabeu, which they have made fortress for a number of years. But FC Barcelona versus Real Madrid is a different game altogether, and this time round, what else do we expect as far as score prediction is concerned? Because FC Barcelona, they are in the best of the form, they are in the form of their life, and Real Madrid, they are not in the best of the form. But playing against FC Barcelona, they will always want to prove points, as I said early on. So as far as score prediction for this game is concerned, I will go for a 1-1 scoreline after full 90 minutes of action. Now let's look at the rest of the fixtures in the Spanish La Liga. Valencia will be up against Villarreal at the Estadio de Mestalla. Deportivo La Corona versus Celta de Vigo. Now let's look at the Italian Serie A fixtures for this weekend. Of course, we have seen some of the results already. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Now, Chievo versus Bologna. It was 5 goals thriller. It ended 3-2 in favor of Bologna. Cagliari 0, Fiorentina 1. Now, Saturday, 23rd December, Lazio will be up against Crotone at the Stadio de Olimpico. Spal versus Torino at the Stadio Paolo Maiz. Sassuolo will be up against the league leaders Inter Milan at the Marpel Stadium. Udinese versus Hellas Verona. Napoli will be up against Sampdoria at the Stadio de San Paolo. And also Genoa versus Benevento. AC Milan will be up against Atalanta at the Giuseppe season. Festive season, you know, it is always bloody, full of features. Every 3 days you expect games, so always make sure that you are with me, because I am always ready to bring you nothing but the best of football analysis. I am always ready to bring you nothing but the best from the football world. My name is Francis Agotisa Lampard, and I have passion for sports. Hey, the Premier League is just tearing me up, Jesus. Till then, bye.